brutality has prompted some of the younger generation to speak up and speak out.
They're planning to use their voices to help heal a broken society. I'm Dr. Kanisha Hall.
And I'm Dr. Tomekia Manning.
Welcome to the chamber where healing begins.
Today we're joined by Jermaine Williams. He is coming to us from Dallas, Texas, and he's here to actually talk to us more, give us some more insight about some training that he's had dealing with police brutality. Of course, we all know that society has been reeling from everything that's happening, the protests across the country. I've actually been a part of some protests in Dallas. He attended some protests here in Houston, so he's going to talk to us about it, and we are going to work through this together, mentally, emotionally, physically, the whole nine. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 23. I went to Academy of Choice High School. I graduated a few years ago, and right after I graduated, they hired me to be a music assistant / business assistant. And they specifically hired me to be there for the youth and the young kids at the school because I have a connection with them, being that I just graduated. And what I did was, instead of just doing music, where they just, write, I told them, when you write, tell your story. You know what I mean? I was like, don't just write and be like other artists. Be yourself. So tell your story, tell your pain, your truth, and someone else will relate to that. And what happened was, a lot of those students, I didn't know until I came back to work the next day. They told the principal how I helped impact their life as far as music. So that extended my career at the school, and I eventually left because I got the job opportunity at WinStar Casino, so now I'm a blackjack dealer. Okay. But I make sure that, it's been tough lately, but I make sure I write each day because I know someone else is waiting to hear what I have to say.
And with the writing right now, it's very prevalent for everything that's happening. And you mentioned that you have been writing in regards to everything that's going on, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, everything that's happening. Tell us about your experience with what you're writing now, what's coming out.
So instead of me writing about myself, because that's what it was a couple of years ago, I transitioned to writing about what was happening in the real world. So Black Lives Matter, racism. I don't write about politics as much, but so Black Lives Matter, racism. I do have a couple poems about voting because I think that's important, especially for the young generation. And just, I help write other people's story. So if someone's afraid to write, I will tell them, tell me your story, and I'll write it for you without, mentioning your name, and it helps them. So.
Now, you said that you told these students to write their truth and write their pain. That is very profound. Who told you that?
Well, my mother actually helped me become the writer I am because she writes, and my grandmother also writes. So I've always been outspoken. So that's how I started writing, because I was told you talk too much. And
Can't imagine.
and I'm like, okay, I'll write. So then I started writing about it. Nobody knew that what I was writing about was about me and my story. And it helped impact other people, even in my family. And I'm like, they still don't have no clue that what I'm writing is about myself.
So, go ahead.
So outside of your mother and your grandmother, what writer has mostly impacted your feeling like you have to get this out? Maya Angelou.
I don't want to, but she helped impact me like a lot in her story. I've heard about it a lot, her story, and a lot of people in my family actually relate to that. And a lot of things she wrote about, it stuck out to me, and it's beautiful. So she actually is the reason why I write, besides my mother and my grandmother.
I love writers, I love musicians. I think it's a great outlet. I mean, we're talking about being able to express. Like for me, it's physical activity. It's pushing something, pushing a tire, pulling something, But as a young African-American man, I think you could be a great influence on a lot of other African-American males. We've got to get, you guys really sold and involved, because we have to run this race. We have to continue on what John Lewis has started and some of the others that have gone before us. So what would be your advice to other black males your age or younger?
I don't want to sound too blunt, but step up. Don't be afraid to step up. I used to be afraid to speak. Like I said, I was told I speak too much, so then I became quiet. And then I just was like, enough is enough. You know what I mean? And I would tell them, step up, be brave, be bold, be confident when you speak. And whatever you say, own it. Own that spotlight, own that moment, because what happens is once you speak and you're confident, someone else is gonna, of course, believe what you're saying, and then that's gonna help them speak up and not be afraid to speak about whatever situation they believe in.
The chamber is definitely tied to mental health, and I'll let you express. I mean, we've talked about it. We believe in it. When we first connected, we talked about the mentality, mindset, and a lot of people, they have to really work on that. I have to work on it sometimes, because sometimes, you know, we'll get in that mode where we'll let things around us impact us. But most importantly, it's the fact that what's so powerful is that you write, and it's your outlet. And we all have an outlet. What's your outlet?
Well, I'm a musician outside but I think culturally, as a community, we as Black people, we use our gifts for the art as a way to voice some of that pain and some of that trauma. And it's a great deal when, like, if you sit back and you think about the centuries of trauma, it's a lot, and it's not gonna go away anytime soon. But you said something very important. We cannot be silent, whether we are writing, whether we are singing, whether we are putting it into our art, putting it into our music. We have to find that outlet, because there is a tie between our emotional health and our physical health. And those who do find their outlet, who do find their coping mechanisms, who do find their voice, they also do a greater good, not just for their community, but for themselves, to take that stress off, because stress is very impactful on our health. Absolutely. From heart disease. And when we talk about our disparities as a community, we have healthcare disparities because we don't have the access that the average American has to healthcare. But we have to use our voice to let people know that, you know, we're not going to give up. We're going to fight for equity as well as equality. So whatever you do, young man, don't start being silent now.
Right.
This world needs your voice, and it needs the voice of all of these young people that you are impacting, until it's one great, big, loud voice that the world cannot ignore.
I love it. I love it. Unity. I'm big on that. I was just reading, and I don't know if you guys have read the Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave, and how they pitted us against, against each other. And so for me, that was profound, because I think about, so often we have to work as a team to make change, to see change, and to rally for the change that's needed. So I'm definitely proud of you as a young Black man and what you're doing. So like she said, you've got to keep doing it. You actually have written a poem that actually ties into what's going on. And I want you to recite that poem for us. Can you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I wrote a poem, and it's basically about what's happening nowadays. And when I actually wrote it in 10 minutes, but after I wrote it, I actually reread it, and it's touching to me. And I take this poem specifically out of all the poems I wrote very seriously. Control our minds with the stimulus, threaten us with the vaccination. Can't let it get into us. In God, we have to trust. Put it on dollar bills, assuming that you'll gain our trust. I can't breathe. They're afraid of us during a pandemic. They tell me I'm eccentric. You're afraid of us, so you kill us during a pandemic? Call it a plague or a gimmick. Even the independent was forced to be dependent. Trapped in our situations, quarantined in our homes, watching a corrupted nation is what we facing. Peeping they plan for depopulation. I can't breathe. We go outside and become a target. Knees on our neck, I can't breathe. I said I'm sorry. Hands up, I'm cuffed up. So what possessed you to harm me? I'm trying to breathe. This how it feels to be black. Nappy hair, strong and brave, I'm proud to be black. George, Trayvon, Mike, Sandra, and the rest, taken by an evil system that truly hate blacks. We're tired of being attacked. We could go on, but you got the message a couple years back. We still can't breathe. Justice for Breonna Taylor.
That is awesome.
So Jermaine, you actually have done some work with restorative justice. Tell us about that and what it looked like.
We did a training a couple of weeks ago on police brutality, racism, Black Lives Matter. And we got kids from across the globe, from different backgrounds, to join this Zoom call. And normally what we do is we would meet at a school and we would have a big circle and speak about this, but due to COVID, we couldn't. So we got kids from, like I said, across the globe to join this call, and there was about 36 kids. And what we did was we broke off into, I'll say a circle, but like a different Zoom chat. So like I had 12 kids along with a different facilitator and then the next person and so forth. And we talked about racism and all that. And we got a lot of feedback that was surprising to me because these kids were between the age of 9 to 14. So it was no one that was like an adult in this Zoom chat, and they were very intelligent, polite, and professional, and they spoke about a lot of things that people my age don't speak about, and it was a nice circle.
Did they talk about fear?
Yeah, so 3 of the kids they spoke about, they were afraid. 2 of them specifically for their self and their family, and the other kid spoke about he was afraid for the environment. He felt like the environment was letting the young generation down. And he felt like, what can he do to speak up, and what can he do to make change? And going back to what I said earlier, I spoke with him and I told him, I said, be bold, be brave, and be different. And he was like, how can I be different? What do you mean by that? And I said, well, I've been told plenty of times by my family that I'm different from the rest. So what that means is you got to figure out why you're different and what can you do to make change, and then everyone else will follow that lead.
Well, I think it's awesome. That's actually how I was able to obtain information about you through restorative justice. And I think education is key. Knowledge is key for all of us. And so as we continue the plight, we just want to say, just thank you for being a part of the movement as we move forward. And we definitely appreciate the poem that you did. I think it was just awesome.
Thank you.
So continue the work, and we will continue the work as well.
And I want to say that I thank you, Queens, for allowing me to be a part of this, and it's a blessing to be here. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you for participating.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I don't think it'll be the last
Shreveport.
time that we get to talk to you either.
Yeah.
So.
Shreveport, right?
Say something.
All right, so we just want to say thank you so much for joining us. You guys need to continue to work as well, do your part. I think we all have a part and a role to play in both mental illness and working together as a team to make America a better place to live. Thank you.